Welcome to the Swim Swam podcast. I'm your host, Coleman Hodges. Joining me today, he is the CEO of the new Australian Swimming League, ASL, newly announced in July. We're getting the ins, the outs, and all the details today from Stuart Coventry.
Lovely to be here, Coleman. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, Stuart. I'm excited to talk to you. This was kind of a surprise. I don't think anyone saw this coming. Much like the International Swimming League, we didn't really see that coming, but now it's turned into this thing where it's in its third season and it's been really successful, and the athletes have certainly taken to it. And so the Australian Swimming League, first of all, it's a privately funded, privately owned and funded, will run competition with the support of Swimming Australia. So first of all, just why with the ISL blooming, what was the motivation behind making the Australian Swimming League?
Yeah, look, I think if you just go back a step, Coleman, that swimming's got an amazing history in the pool. It's one of the most popular sports in Australia. It's the most watched sport at the Olympic Games, and it's a truly global sport. So therefore, what the group of swimming enthusiasts, I'll call them, or private investors, they got together behind the scenes, and I think they admitted to all the key stakeholders in swimming that it really had to find its place outside of major elite world swimming competitions. There was nothing within the gaps. So, and coaches were really after more races for athletes. It's very important that there's a lot of training in the pools that happens, continuously over and over again, but that kind of high-end elite competition lacked outside the key tentpole moments of Olympic sport, etc. So what we did is we completed a considerable amount of market research and major consumer concept testing to understand, in reality, what resonates with consumers. If we introduce such a competition, would it work? And the results were absolutely overwhelming in support of the new competition, and particularly the athletes and coaches. We completed the same survey to athletes and coaches, and the feedback from them was they're all on board with it. They love it. They feel like that it's something that's been missing in swimming for a long period of time. So we all feel that as a group that swimming needed to maintain and develop a sustainable and entertaining domestic competition. I do say entertaining because that'll be a key part of what our criteria is about in the competition. And there's a lot of other sports in Australia that have gone down a similar pathway. So the outcome of all this for athletes is essentially providing more meaningful competition for them. So after putting all this together, the ASL was born as the fit for purpose product of swimming in Australia. So right now we're in our development phases of the league establishment. And of course, as you and most other sports lovers will know, Australia absolutely are diehard about their sport. They love it. And we're looking to create a model that integrates within the really busy landscape of Australian sport, and of course within the swimming calendars as well. So in order to do this and make it work and make it viable, we've formed a really wonderful strategic partnership with Swimming Australia to establish and operate the league. So essentially ASL will cover off the operational commercial rights and have a strong background in event experience and passion for the sport, and Swimming Australia will bring that industry expertise and resources to help bring along together. So we've had terrific support from CEO Alex Bowman and Australia's head coach Rowan Taylor to ensure that all of our objectives are in sync.
So obviously you just explained rich swimming history in Australia. If you don't know that, get out from under your rock. But how long in the making is the ASL? How long has this been in the works behind the scenes, and how did you get involved?
Yeah, look, it's been actually in the works for probably about 18 months, and I've only been involved in the business for 3 months. And look, my background is in sport and entertainment. And particularly, I spent recently 7 years in a major short form competition called the Big Bash League as the CEO of one of the clubs. Now, the Big Bash League is renowned as one of the greatest startup success stories in Australian sport. It was one of those sports that totally disrupted traditional type cricket effectively. So I was brought in I had discussions probably 6 months ago with the investors about maybe looking at something like this, and they've completed all their research and they were really happy to try and find a way to make this work. So that's pretty much how it inspired the startup.
Nice. The Big Bash League has to be one of the best names I've ever heard for any establishment. So what do you feel like you were bringing from the Big Bash League? What did you gain from an experience like that?
Yeah, look, essentially the Big Bash League tried to fill a void in a sport losing audiences, particularly that key demographic of 5 to 15-year-olds. Major surveys were completed back in 2011, which said that there was just a lack of interest of young kids in wanting to get involved in cricket. And so what I see with the ASL is that not only it's a great competition for athletes, and it provides a springboard to allow athletes to have those really key elite sport moments outside of the other ones, but what it does is it just brings new audiences into the foray. 57% of all participants in swimming are female. So that's a key sustainable and entertaining scenario for us as we go forward. That how do we create a product that brings in, we'll call it the non-core swimming audience, and brings in new audiences to come and check out a night out and have entertainment around the elite swimming. And the Big Bash League is a great example of introducing a weird competition with all those key elements that you never thought would happen in a really a traditional game like cricket. So I feel like that swimming can make this happen, and next year will be the year.
I'm already excited about it. So you mentioned cricket bringing in kind of newer elements. We've seen. I don't mean to keep comparing the ASL to the ISL, but we're seeing just more swim leagues pop up. We've seen the ISL introduce some things within the sport of swimming that we haven't seen before, like skins races, like well, we've seen relays, but the point system, just a lot of nuances that are new. Is the ASL planning anything like that? What is the format going to look like? And what are you planning to do to really make it pop and get audiences' attention?
Yeah, so what we're proposing to do is to run the competition across a couple of key aspects of it. The first one is in February next year, introduce an opening night, and this will be a concept test for us to allow us to experiment with various formats and innovative entertainment. So you'll have your traditional races, and each one of those will be in a short course 25-meter pool similar to the ISL. But we're looking at introducing some other strange formats as well, that just to add that little bit of spice to what can go on outside of a traditional swimming meet. So we're trying to find those key moments within the production schedule, and I think February will give us a chance to do that. Then what we will do is we'll start a proper competition in October next year, which will take place over several weeks. It'll involve new clubs, which we're in the setup phase at the moment. It'll have a set amount of competition days with a really bumper event program, prize money, reputations on the line in a condensed window, and make it happen. And we feel like that short, sharp events is the way to go because of not just the busy sports scheduling in Australia, but I think from a consumer point of view, that's the feedback we're getting is what they want to see. And then we may look at a larger event, in a big venue, a drop-in pool, once the COVID restrictions are relaxed.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Short, sharp events is what I want to see as a consumer. And that's all that matters. That's all that should matter. So Stuart, tell me, have you talked to the swimmers? The the will be participants of the ASL. What do they think about this, or how are they feeling? Especially with this condensed Olympic cycle. I'm curious as to what their thoughts are on more racing in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah, look, the two key aspects there is one is we completed a very significant survey to coaches and athletes quite a number of months ago, and just pre-Olympics, just to talk about some of the key questions around why this competition exists, and would you get involved in it, and what is the key motivations to get involved in it, and look, we had a survey of, I think it was around 80 in total, and we had a 75 to 80% return rate, which in doing a survey of this type of scenario is very, very high. And look, the 99% of the feedback was great competition, want to get involved, what the key elite competition, we want to see it in the best locations, and we don't want it to drag on too long. It's over a maybe 3 weekend scenario is the way to go. So we started to form all those opinions from the key swimming stakeholders, and particularly the coaches as well. We're very tight with Rowan Taylor, the Olympic head coach, and he's provided some amazing input into what's required from a high performance perspective. So we're going to try and mix the two together between what the athletes require and also what we can do to have a standalone broadcast quality product.
Okay, I'm in now. This is sounding better and better. So now I have to wonder, as an American, is it only Australian swimmers, or can other swimmers come and participate in this ASL as well?
We want to have the world's best, Coleman. We want to bring in the world's best. That is our absolute aim. At the moment, particularly around the borders being closed and Australia's strict security measures on that regard, that I feel we will then concentrate on the great number of athletes in Australia. We've had some terrific results out of Tokyo recently, and the depth of talent here in Australia is second to none. So that will play a key part. But definitely next year, later next year, we'll be looking at bringing in world's best to be a part of that club environment, and wanting to do well for the club, and try and maybe disrupt the traditional coach and athlete relationship, where they might have to move to another club or whatever. So we really want to take it to another level, where we have 4, 6, or 8 clubs that will go head to head with each other. We'll create a soft salary cap for athletes, so that we make sure that everybody has a fair choice of getting the best talent. So I feel that all the ingredients are there to make it work.
That sounds really exciting. I'm thinking soccer. I'm thinking basketball in an international perspective, and how so many countries have so many different leagues like this, and you see lots of athletic opportunities for athletes of any race from any country, right? Then they can go play in these leagues, and that's really exciting to see swimming have something like that. That's, like you said, not on a complete huge international stage, like a FINA, like an Olympics, like a World Championships, like an ISL, but that's based in Australia. It's based in a country, but anyone can participate. I like where it's going. So again, as the CEO, as the head of this, what's your swimming background like? Do you have a swimming background, or do you have chlorine in your blood at all?
No, I actually don't. From a professional point of view, I'm a very much a keen swimmer outside of my working environment. But look, the metrics in Australian sport are pretty crucial, and I think that hopefully there's my years of experience across sport and entertainment hold me in good stead to make this work. And we've got some good people internally. Investors have got knowledge of the industry, and we've totally reached out to as many key stakeholders as we can to try and bring the puzzle together, as we say. and make it work. And we feel like that we've got the right formula to do that. And it is a new formula in swimming in Australia. So hopefully we can, we're on a journey, we're a startup. Our mission is clear. We want to inspire and develop the swimming community. So we're in the growth stages. We want to engage, we want to transact, and we want 2022 to be a really bumpy year for us.
It seems like having a swimming background is not as important in a position like yours, but more like you said, having the business, having the sports and industry savvy. It's really exciting for swim fans like us, for you to come in. I know the current CEO of USA Swimming, Tim Hinchy, while he swam at university, he hadn't had a swim biz job per se, but he was coming from a soccer league, and he's done great things, I think, in USA Swimming so far. So again, it's exciting to see this change and this transition. We talked about Australians having success at the Olympics. What did you think of the Olympics? Were you watching? I'm assuming you were. And what do you make of the success they had and of the timing of that coinciding with this ASL project?
Yeah, look, some of the performances were outstanding. Titmus, McKeon, McEwen, Zach Stubblety-Cook. I think they're all of a sudden turned themselves into massive household names. And the broadcast ratings here in Australia were just off the charts, and everybody was watching that first week of swimming. So there's no doubt that the talent pool is absolutely world class, and that was proven. And the swimming talent is high, and full accolades go to Rowan Taylor and his team. They've put together a group of leaders, I would say, that created a sense of purpose and a positive culture within the group to get themselves up in a challenging environment of Tokyo. So hopefully we can capitalize on the successes and, more importantly, provide a platform for elite competition, and particularly some young competitors coming through. The next crop of athletes for not only for Paris, but as we lead into Brisbane 2032, that setting up the structures and systems in place and getting to understand all of this, I suppose, is the next iteration for us. So we're going to, Coleman, contract the cream of Australia's swimmers and the next wave of young talent with this opportunity to compete head to head in a new competition that's made for television, elite competition. So we can, so it'll be great viewing, entertaining, and high energy, high impact, and we're really looking forward to next year.
So you mentioned the buzz that some of these Australian champions are getting, but I am curious. In the United States, we had a great games, and I think it's been celebrated quite a bit. But it seems like the Olympics happened, and now it's already kind of gone. Was the energy pretty palpable in Australia, even though much of the country is in lockdown right now?
Yeah, look, unfortunately, lockdown meant that many people were at home and viewing all sorts of content. And with the Olympics on, it just created a sense of nationalism. And we're very parochial here in Australia about our national teams. And watching our swimmers in the first week of the pool do really well, it kind of set a bit of a buzz, I suppose, for everybody that's been living in challenging times. And the swimmers did us proud, and we're hoping that we can take a lot of that energy into the ASL and show the entertainment world that swimming is a big part of the calendar going forward, outside of the Olympics and Commonwealth Games next year, and then we head into Paris. We want to have a really strong local domestic competition that can bring the best of the world in and shoot for prize money, and making sure that that we can find the next Ariane Titmus and the next Zach Stubblety-Cook will just come out of nowhere and be on the world stage.
So you guys are a startup, as you said, or at least there's a startup feel to it, and you guys have already had your first big adversity. You had to delay the soft launch. I think I'm saying that right, but that you guys were already delayed due to the coronavirus and the conditions in Australia right now. Just as a CEO, can you take me through that process? I'm guessing it was an easy choice given how serious the situation is, but it's obviously not ideal for you. So how do you pivot and say, okay, this isn't what we expected, but this is how we're going to react and where we're going next?
Yeah, look, it's not the ideal solution for us. We had serious plans, and all roads were leading towards our opening night at the end of October, more than likely in Queensland. But this the structure of Australia with our federated model and various states, that we could be subject to snap lockdowns at any moment, depending on the number of cases. So look, we're no different at the moment to any other major sport in the country. It's just navigating your way through what's coming up in the next few months, and particularly the New South Wales situation, which is dire at the moment. There's all talks about them being locked down for quite a few months into hopefully not, but Christmas. So we're thinking it's best to clear the air and set a new date, go to February next year. We won't have the challenges of where we are at the moment. The country will get to hopefully, which is an 80% vaccination rate, which will give us a lot of confidence to run an event, within the current environment. And so we'll just keep working towards February next year. But it is disappointing. We really had everything planned for October, and so we're very positive. We're hopeful we'll get this up for next year, and life will get back to normal, because Australians just love their sport.
That's one of the things I love most about talking to Australians is how passionate they are about their sport and their coffee. I bring coffee up with every Australian because I get a kick out of talking about them. Americans, it's not quite the same. But yeah, passionate coffee drinkers, passionate athletes or sport fans rather. So moving forward, I'm not sure how much you can tell me about the specifics, but I'm curious about team structures and what that will actually look like. Will there be training bases that you're looking to establish over the next few months, or 6 months, or 12 months, leading into the big opening? And will coaches who are already very established, will you look to make them head coaches of clubs, or how does that work? What do you see for that format?
Yeah, so what we're doing, Coleman, is we're right in the middle of setting up all the league structures and the club-based structures. So the ASL will be essentially a club-based competition under a license model, where each team will be represented by a number of swimmers, and that'll be evenly split between male and female athletes, and multi-class and juniors. And then in addition to that, we'll look to introduce an annual draft that ensures equality and a spread of talent across the league. But essentially, each club will be privately owned and will be strategically positioned, across the country. We need to look at the interest of club owners and the swimming fans as well, not only the athletes and coaches. The coaches then will play a huge part in being involved in each of those different clubs. And I'm sure that if we have an open market in that area, that the market will determine what athletes and what coaches will sit where they need to sit. And we really want to invest in ensuring that clubs can create the equity and the tribalism that's important. Australian clubs are very tribal. A lot of them have been around for many years, and we need to establish that. So I think we're providing a really good opportunity here for private investors to buy into professional sport, which is in Australia is most unusual. Americans, it happens, continuously, but so giving them a chance to get into something, particularly those that are passionate about swimming, I think can work.
I love that idea. I think, as you said, I think it's obviously worked in America. I'm not saying that's why it'll work, but I'm saying it would be really cool to see sport grow, and specifically our sport grow in other countries, and have success like we've seen it in the United States and with other countries as well. Stuart, it's been really great sitting down and to chat with you about this new Australian Swimming League. I'm really hoping it gets off the ground and goes really well. Is there anything I'm missing? Is there anything you want to add before we sign off today?
No, look, I just want to thank yourself, Coleman, and SwimSwam for the opportunity to talk today. And we've got pretty aggressive targets for next year, and we want to grow the sport. We want to work really closely with all of our key swimming stakeholders and make an exciting, entertaining event. Outside of what others are doing. We congratulate the ISL and what they've done and to really disrupt the sport. And we don't see any crossover with those competitions. And we're very much collaborative in what the ISL is thinking. So we can definitely complement the ISL. And T20 cricket is short form cricket is a great example of competitions around the globe that compete with each other, but they all find their space in the sun. So we can definitely learn off each other, and it's a great outcome for consumers. And we've got a fresh, exciting product happening in Australia, and we can't wait to get it rolling.
You've been listening to the SwimSwam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take SwimSwam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.